Alright, ladies and gentlemen, finally it don't start. But before I continue this video, listen to this first.
The Federal High Court sitting in Ado-Ekiti this week struck out the criminal defamation suit leveled against human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi by the founder of Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, Chief Afe Babalola. The decision of the court followed a notice of discontinuance filed by the police prosecutor, Samson Oshobu. Before this time, Afe Babalola said he had forgiven Farotimi after the intervention of Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, and other prominent Yoruba Obas. Speaking with journalists shortly after the court ruling, the lawyer to the defendant, Adeyinka Olumide Fusika, SAN, said Dele Farotimi agreed to the notice of discontinuance, adding that they are waiting for other cases in other courts.
Confirm. Now, a few days ago, I made this video where I talked about the update on the case between Dele Farotimi and Afe Babalola, and in that video, I made mention of the visit and the meeting which the Ooni of Ife had with Afe Babalola, and according to what we heard, they say that it was after that meeting that Afe Babalola accepted to withdraw the defamatory case from the court. Though there are other alleged reasons why he accepted to withdraw the case from the court, which I made mention in this video. And for those of you who would want to check it out, check this out on my video list. But for the full video, check this out on my YouTube channel at Tutorship TV, and you will be glad you did so. But nevertheless, now a few hours ago, I got this information that finally the defamatory case has just been struck out of the court, which according to the lawyers, they say that they got a notification of withdrawal of that defamatory case, which they are accepted, and 2 seconds, bae, they strike the case out of the court. But don't forget that there are still other 4 cases that is still hanging out in other places like Abuja, Port Harcourt, or more, though we are still waiting for clearer information on what is going on in those other cases. But before I forget, I even heard that Dele Farotimi has been nominated as one of the leaders in a Yoruba socio-cultural group, which is the Afeniferis, though it is not yet clear. But don't worry, when it gets clearer, I will drop it here. In fact, listen to this analysis from Arise News. But as you are listening, be clicking on that share button and also subscribe in case if you have never done so for more updates. And after that, I'll be back. Let's go there.
The case here, we have served with a notice of discontinuance this morning, and we accepted it, and the case has been struck out. This particular one has been struck out, so we wait action on other ones. There's still one at Ado-Ekiti Magistrate Court. There's one at Abuja. There's another one in Port Harcourt. There's another one in Ibadan. There's another one in Afe. So until we see what happens in those ones before we can make any comment on anything.
At first will be, of course, your thoughts, briefly on what has happened between him and Chief Afe Babalola. And I mean, a lot of people will say, thank God that it's all over. But of course, more importantly, will be not his legal tussles now, but his foray into, shall we say, a bit of politics, politics of Afenifere, given that he's now been appointed as the organizing secretary of that socio-cultural group. I believe you are also affiliated in some ways to Afenifere.
I'm a member of the National Caucus. Yes,
absolutely.
Caucus, yes.
You know, of course, that Otuba Koliomololu is also saying that what has happened may not be right because he's the authentic organizing secretary of Afenifere.
Let him speak for
what is going on. Tell us about what is going on. Of course, starting with Dele Farotimi, because this is a man who is in the news, and now he's going to be in the news a lot more given this appointment.
Yeah, Dele's case was one of those instances that tests my own my position. Chief Afe Babalola is my uncle, from the maternal side. Dele is one of the closest person to. So I probably think I must be the first person to write about it. My column comes out on Fridays, so I think the news broke on Wednesday, so I was so to navigate both of them, these are outstanding individuals that you cannot take anything out of it. Right? And I remember commending both, I try to be balanced, but I've had some hard knocks from our family and friends, from Chief Afe Babalola's side. No, but as I said,
side?
For being too balanced. Yeah. So Dele's case is, something that the country, and the society, the Yorubas should be happy about. Now, should be happy that we have somebody like that at this period, right? He has become a kind of the social conscience of the country. He's fearless. He's more or less, even the way you can refer him now to him as a foremost human rights activist. I'm not saying that to put, but off the cuff. I don't think that...
Some other people will say the most vocal.
Yeah. How can you be an activist without being vocal? And then being vocal, what is he saying? If you are vocal and you are talking sense, you are talking for the people, then you should even speak more. So that's him. I've been persuading him to play a more prominent role in Afenifere, but he has been shying away from this. So when he eventually agreed to do so, I said, and one of the reasons, the main reason I was asking him to do so was the need to recruit the younger generation into Afenifere. Afenifere, the way it has been, it's too much. Before him, I think I'll probably be youngest. So it's good for us and good for the country, but especially I'm very happy for Afenifere, to which I belong, because even before now, immediately his case broke out. We were receiving letters from people who wanted to join, Afenifere.
On account of
on account of the exposure that he has had. So that is the main role. He's going to perform that role very effectively. People who identify with him, I'm sure that a lot of them will come in, especially the younger people. It's as if things are just working to some kind of orchestration. He's was one of the spokesperson of Obi campaign.
Yes.
Obedient. And that the Obi's campaign,
obedience or the Obidati campaign.
And apart from that, obedient, or whether you are in the campaign or not, they generally come under the rubric of obedience.
Yeah.
Right. So of course, he is also a leader in that respect. So it's a very positive development. I'm happy, and I'm sure that going forward, you are going to see a lot of what I'm telling you, coming to fruit, being manifested. It's like a lightning rod, for change.
Okay.
And I'm sure you will do well.
Okay.
I don't envy your position. You talked about how you try to be as neutral as possible. And often when two people are in this type of dispute, it's very difficult to be neutral and still be a party to both sides. So I don't envy the position that you've been in. But I would like to ask you whether or not you think that the coming of Dele Farotimi into Afenifere, is that a sign that the organization backed him, took his side in this dispute? And this is also because I think that while we know that there was a lot of people who are in support of Dele Farotimi, especially when he was in detention, he still does have a list of different legal challenges that still need to be sorted out. Like, this is just one that has been put aside, but I believe in Ekiti, in Abeokuta, I believe Ibadan, Port Harcourt, he still has other cases pending there. So with the coming of him into this organization, how does that, or will that affect the relationship, the relationship Afenifere has with Mr. Babalola, if at all? Do you think that he would be happy with this positioning of Dele Farotimi under the umbrella of Afenifere, or would this be perhaps another source of contention in the future?
First, you can't be more Catholic than the Pope. So, but whether as far as we know, Chief Afe Babalola, although technically or legally he is not the complainant, but he is also is. So if he is withdrawing those charges, with which Dele was charged with, the implication of that is that in all the other areas where the cases are coming forward, I think it becomes academic. So that's as far as that goes. Chief Afe Babalola is actually unfortunate. Because there is something that he does, that for me makes him stand out, and that is probably the only person at his level, at such a very high level, consistently harping on restructuring, consistently. I don't know of anyone of his status or prominence, and he's not a politician, lawyer, and things, who does that. So they have to regard him, that is without prejudice to whatever other quarrels he may have. But for me, it means a lot to me, that he's taking upon himself to play that role.
Okay, let me ask you two questions. First will be to return to the Abagun Koliomololu issue. And the question would be, how did Dele Farotimi emerge as organizing general secretary if that position was allegedly, or shall we say reportedly, being held by Abagun Omololu? At what point did he emerge? Because part of what he is saying, Otumba Omololu, is that it's only Chief Fashoranti that can appoint, validate an appointment, and not Chief Adebanjo. So how did Dele Farotimi emerge? That's one. The second part will be, now that it looks like obedience are populating Afenifere, would that not make Afenifere? I mean, you worked for Peter Obi. He's still an obedient Dele Farotimi. Chief Adebanjo, of course, everybody knows, didn't support Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We wouldn't know whether it's obedient, but he said, of course, that it was the turn of the Southeast to produce the president. Are you? I know the concept of Ohanifere, Afenifere, and Ohaneze. Are you therefore cementing that the Ohanifere thing to now make Afenifere, one, more political, and then secondly, more obedient? Is that the point?
You see, this is a mappy you mentioned, but I don't know for how long we are going to stress this factor. Afenifere, of our own description, is not a socio-cultural organization, it's a socio-political organization. You see, the ambiguity came, when Chief Babalola started Agbeomo Oduduwa. And Agbeomo Oduduwa is a socio-cultural. That he also founded Afenifere, but people tend to confuse the two. Afenifere, as founded by Chief Babalola, is actually the political arm of any national party, of any party, right? That they will join, that Afenifere will join. Afenifere, democratic socialism, center of left, center, So it is actually a political party. Yes, that is the conception of the man who started it. In 1963, he made an address and called anybody who associates Afenifere with the Yoruba people a traitor. That was in his presidential address. That anybody who says that Afenifere is socio-cultural group is a traitor.
Who said that?
Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Go and read his presidential address in 1963.
Presidential address?
Yes, to his party, to AG. So, but the thing is that I keep on saying these things. No, Afenifere is not a social-cultural organization. The point, well, maybe part of the reason why people get confused is that during the long interregnum of the military in power, all right, you cannot have political parties.
Yes.
So that is the cover under which the politicians of center, of left of center, gather to talk. It becomes effectively, it's a political pressure group.
Yeah.
So they are observing not being seen as a party, but at the same time taking on actually the role that a political party will. So at that period, at periods like that, right, it cannot call itself a party or anything. But also realistically, right, Nigeria's politics is predicated on ethno-regional cleavages. That is the truth. So the dominant party in each of the region will actually look as if this is a Yoruba party. The same way you have Northern People's Congress as a Northern party, or NCNC as a. So there is also that confusion that parties in Nigeria, tended to almost coincide with those cleavages. So it's one of the reasons why Afenifere tended to be seen as cultural, whatever it is.
All right, that's
now,
good. Yeah.
Omololu is relevant to the appointment of Dele Farotimi completely. The appointment of Dele Farotimi was made by the Afenifere that we have in the Afenifere that he represents. I don't think they even now have a deputy leader or officials.
Are there two Afeniferes?
What?
Are you saying there are two Afenifere?
Well, I mean, those are the people. Two groups make claim to it. So to that extent, you have. I will say my own Afenifere is your 10 people. Somebody at the other side will make the same claim. It's free speech, freedom of association. No law has been violated by saying so, right? So anybody can come out and call himself.
Yes.
The tradition of Afenifere is that a leader, tending towards retirement or retirement,
Yes.
appoints somebody as acting leader who effectively becomes the leader of the group. In this case, Chief Adebanjo. Once you have an acting leader,
Who appointed him?
Chief Assurance.
Appointed Chief
Yes,
Adebanjo.
yes, he has a letter to that effect.
Okay.
Once you can't have two captains in the same ship. It is the same Chief Assurance who did that. So when people talk, we see there ought to be some logical consistency, in what you do. And you cannot come along the way and say no position again. So, but as I said, they are entitled to their own position. If they want to, that's all right.
So Afenifere has two organizing secretary now.
No. Look, I don't know what to call them. I mean, they have, as I said, or if that's the way you want to put it, all well and good. I've told you that for you, I want you to arrive at some level of authenticity.
Okay.
I've told you, for instance, that Afenifere has been the Yoruba arm of a national progressive party. Is that when they are forming that party nationally, it moves in as a club and as a bloc, right? So, and of course, the peculiar situation we also have in Nigeria of military interregnum that does not permit political activities or political parties while in power, yet you still want to operate, you know. And you also said something about his new position being collapsible with obedience and so.
Yeah, that the obedient faces are dominating your own Afenifere.
Obedience are dominating what?
You are obedient, he is obedient.
Yes.
Chief Banjo, in a way, is sympathetic to the cause of the obedience.
Yes.
That's why I asked the question.
No, not at all. I mean, that from the word go is not a new thing. I mean, look, I was the Director General at the same time a member of the caucus. Shola Ebisheni was the coordinator in the Southwest, while he was at the same time the General Secretary of Afenifere. So it's not, and this is to confirm what I've told you earlier, that really the Afenifere is a party. No, it's a Yoruba arm of a potentially with any party formed that conforms with its own position, which is welfareism, left of center. So that is it. We don't speak as cultural group. That's not our own. Anybody can go and do free. And I've told you the origin and the clarification made, you know, by Chief Babalola. Because that confusion was setting in even at that time.
All right.
All righty. Let me ask, with respect, because I do think with age comes a lot of wisdom, but you did talk about how you yourself are among the younger members of Afenifere. So with the coming of Dele Farotimi, is there an expectation that perhaps he would breathe new life into the group? Because what is the state of the demographics now? I know you said that during his legal issues you received a lot of letters of people wanting to become members. Yeah. But were these quote-unquote younger people? I mean, do you have a plan for the future? We pray that you still got many decades with us. But when you look, especially since you're referring to Afenifere now as a political party, you'd imagine that there is a plan for you to make sure that you have a stake in the future. So how is there a plan to bring more people, younger people, into the fold? And is that why Dele Farotimi was appointed?
Of course. I mean, look, it has been a long-standing issue. You know, the problem of leadership recruitment is actually not limited to Afenifere alone. It also applies to almost all the other political parties in Nigeria. Now, the political system is beginning to normalize. But there was a challenge of leadership recruitment. Look, the Fourth Republic started in 1999. So between 1966 and 1999, we only had maybe 4 or 5 years of civilian. So this is what you have experienced. There is no way you can perform leadership recruitment for political participation under military dictatorship. You know, so this poses the challenge of leadership recruitment, not only to Afenifere alone, but to all political parties. So now, if this republic endure, right, that increasingly will become less of a challenge. I mean, so that is the problem. As you have said, I mean, like I said, you cannot get a better figure, you know, to rally around the younger Nigerians or even people who are older than him. You know, than somebody like Dele.
And when the challenge that, you know, his choice will pose is that he's already affiliated with a political movement and a political figure. And so this leads me to my next question as we begin to wrap up. There are talks of coalitions, of mergers, etc. And we saw what happened in Abuja, you know, at the conference, you know, a few days ago, where Atiku spoke, Rufai spoke. I think Dr. Dele Farotimi was there. Rotimi Amici has been speaking to from the same place. It's not yet halfway to 2027 yet, but of course the political space is heating up. What role, therefore, do you see Afenifere playing now that you have established that it's a political arm? Don't get it twisted. What role do you think that it will play? It looks to a lot of people that there are disgruntled, shall we say, elements within the APC who might be open to merger and coalition talks with others. There are other talks about the possibility of Obi and Atiku coming together. What role will Afe play, given that you yourself, you are there, Dele Farotimi is there, and Chief Adebanjo is still very much alive, with us? What direction should people expect that Afe will take in all this?
It is predictable. You know,
is?
Yes, because first I said left of center. Second also, of course, is the sense of equity, justice, and the cause of national integration. By my own reckoning, right, the next president, even from this time, from 2023, the next president of Nigeria should come from the southeast. That position still holds, right? Look, the thing about Nigeria is this hypocritical thing, right? If you want a nation, then do something that makes you, that is logically consistent with that. You cannot be talking about national integration in which a part of the country is almost permanently marginalized. That was the question the rotation between the North and South was set to address, and it has succeeded in doing that. But even within that zone, in this case, when it came back to the South, it is not fair for Obasanjo to have spent 8 years as president, Yemi Osinbajo 8 years as vice president, and now you are having another Yoruba person as president in a situation in which one of the zones in the South of the three has never been in either. So that is the position I believe, and I'm sure certainly Afe is likely to also take, in choosing a party to belong to. So it's a self-evident case. That was what led us into supporting Obi the first time.
Good point. Now, what do you think about this whole drama from the start of the case to now that is winding down? Though there are still other cases that is still hanging out there. But do you think that this is just the end of the whole matter, or are you expecting more cases going forward? In fact, share your thought with me on the comment section. And of course, you know the vibe now. Click on that subscribe button, follow and share for more updates. Because like this, we move.